Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come and the evening the PIB videos come, and I hope that you people are watching PIB videos because these days that session is totally exam oriented and many MCQs I am discussing there because the data is very less from the PIB section, but the exam oriented MCQs and their detailed explanations are very important for you people. So 3rd April it is, and we will discuss some important articles and facts here and some MCQs also. Before that, these are the numbers there you can call and you can ask for these pen drive courses by StudyIQ. Very important courses. Do not waste your lakhs of rupees, and these courses are going to help you stay at your home. Just make a good plan and study peacefully, and these courses are going to be the biggest help here. NALSA, the question, National Legal Service Authority of India. As I told you, it was established according to this particular act. This is okay, and established in November 1995. That is again a correct statement. But second is not, because the main aim of this particular act and this particular body is to give the right jurisdiction or the justice delivery should be proper for the weakest section of the people, and it should be fast. That is also the aim here, because justice delayed is justice denied. So this principle is working here, and they are mainly implementing the ideas of Article 39A that is coming under the DPSPs. It says that there should be opportunity that the judicial services, they are equally available to the weakest section of India. Otherwise, the most important thing as support for the weak's life or the poor person's life, the legal aid, that is not free for them, and it is only available to the rich people. And as we see, practically this thing happens because the fee of these lawyers and all these things are not possible for the poor. So NALSA was most important one, and that is why UPSC has asked many questions on NALSA. There are state legal service authorities, the way it has in the center National Legal Service Authority, and it is there on the district level also. So they all are working in a coordination. So only one is the correct answer here. And we see here Article 39A is important, and Article 14 and 22(1) are also related with the equality in the justice system. 22 is related to the detention provisions, and Article 14 talks about the equality. So in both these places, free legal aid is necessary in India. So this act was there in 1987 and enforced in 1995 November. And NALSA, it is the headquarters there in Delhi, and important is patron in chief of NALSA authority is Chief Justice of India, and senior most honorable Supreme Court's judge is the executive chairman. So these two important facts you should remember. They have asked about them. One more important feature of it is that Lok Adalats will be there. What are these Lok Adalats? If some cases they are at pre-litigation stages and some delayed date is given to these people and they demand speedy justice, but that is not possible due to the overburdened state of court. So the Lok Adalats are a very important provisions here. There are various types of Lok Adalats. Permanent Lok Adalats are there, and daily Lok Adalats are there, and some regular Adalats are also organized. Mega Lok Adalat Day is also observed once in a month. So these kind of things are there. And main issue is of arbitration. Sometimes these two parties they settle these issues out of the court, and this arbitration helps them, but sometimes they do not agree to it. So all the provisions are there regarding the Lok Adalats, and they were established according to this particular 1987 act only. Okay. Next question is also about the Lok Adalat, and the patron in chief of NALSA, as I told you, is not president, it is Chief Justice of India, and the executive chairman is senior most judge. Lok Adalats are organized under NALSA, that is okay. Only 2 is the correct answer here. You see, continuous Lok Adalat where set number of days are given to these Lok Adalats, maybe 3 days in a week, 4 days in a week, 2 days in a week, and this is the way they are working. Daily means daily mobile Lok Adalats for the hostile areas or the remote areas where people cannot approach these courts to the district headquarters and all. Maybe they are far away. So these vans which are mobile lok adalats, they will reach up to the people, and the multi-utility van would be used here. Mega lok adalats, as I told you, organized in the state on a single day in all courts of the state, and they solve all these cases. There are national lok adalats also, okay, and the most important is the permanent lok adalat. Permanent means they are already always there, established by this particular act, and you see the award of the permanent lok adalat is final and binding. It is not mandatory that all the parties, or both these parties who are there for the resolution, maybe they don't reach up to the settlement there, and they do not agree on some points. At that particular time, permanent lok adalat would issue a particular verdict, and that would be binding. So it is not important whether they reach up to a settlement or not. This particular verdict would be binding and final upon the parties. So it is just like the court. So they have solved lakhs of cases, crores of cases, and it's a very important provision in our judicial system. And the statutory backing is there because it was established by the Act of 87. So these are called statutory bodies. Now 1st April is the state's formation day of Odisha. 30th March we talked about it, the Rajasthan's day, and it is Odisha. Next, MESAT, developed by ISRO, not by ISRO, it was developed by DRDO. It was sent by ISRO. That's important. So this statement would be wrong. And PSLV C-45 was the important mission, and it was not the 45th flight. There's a difference. It was 47th flight. It was not 45th flight. So that you should not get confused in. And longest mission till now, 3 hours flight and 3 orbits, different orbits. First time they targeted. So many firsts were there this time. So none is the answer here because both the statements are wrong. You can see here at the PS4, solar panels were attached to it, and this was 47th of flight. First flight of QL variant, and automatic identification system developed by ISRO was there. APRS system by AMSAT, Amateur Satellite Corporation of India, which developed this APRS, that was also there. Advanced retarding potential analyzer for the ionosphere. You see troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and this ionosphere which is there. So studies in this particular level is very, very important. Okay, all these radio frequency rays and all are related to this ionosphere. It has multiple layers. So the studies are done on this, and that is also there. And very, very important MESAT, which is going to help military establishment and our forces. So it's a very important defense support, and it is placed at this height of 749 kilometer. Means it's way above these other satellites which it placed on other orbits. Okay, but this is low earth orbit because till 1000 kilometers it is low earth orbit. So that's important. MESAT is the name here. Next, Garden Research Shipbuilders, GRSBs. These are not private manufacturers. This is state-owned body. Okay, it's a state-owned builders engineering limited, GRSE. It is based in Kolkata, and recently it became the first Indian shipyard to build and deliver 100 warships. So that was the important achievement, and it is based in Kolkata, as I told you. So both the statements are wrong here. The reason I have told you. Global Peace Index, it is released by Institute of Economics and Peace, very important body, and you see in 2018 report it has placed India at 137th place, and it evaluates 163 countries on the basis of the conditions of the disturbance by terrorism or some other important areas where peace is disturbed. So we are at 137th place. It's a shameful place for a big country like India, which claims to be the most peaceful nation in the world, which claims to be the culture of peace. And they say that our whole system, our Sanskriti and our Sabhyata, it is based on the tolerance issue. But you see, we are at the 137th place. So this is the irony here. And D9 is the answer here because IEP is not given here. Measures the relative position of nations and regions' peacefulness and around 99.7% population of this world is covered by it. So it's almost a perfect survey, and India has moved up to 4 places to 137th rank, means we were at 141st rank. And this is the data of 2018 Global Peace Index. Iceland, find out the location of Iceland. It's a very important small island nation, and I give you the hint, it is in the northern part of a particular big ocean of this world, and very important country, very peaceful, education level is very high, and biggest number of novelists, scholars, scientists, they are coming from Iceland. So very important one. Next, Syria remains the least peaceful country in the world, and Institute for Economics and Peace, India at 137th place. One more important index is released by the same institute, Global Terrorism Index, again area related with the peacefulness of this world, measuring the impact of terrorism. It is again a 2018 report, and 44% deaths are from terrorism, and they have decreased in number. So this is a particular thing, and you see here also we are performing very bad. Our place is there at 7th position. Above us, Somalia, Pakistan, Syria, Nigeria, Afghanistan and Iraq, only these countries, and all other countries, they are behind India. So here the terrorism index, again we are on the top. So this is a problematic thing. GTI is again developed by Institute of Economics and Peace, independent, non-partisan, non-profit think tank. Okay. Next, this was an interesting question, the map question that I gave to you. All these cities, they are located on the banks of the rivers, but Riyadh is not like that. Riyadh is here on the center of Saudi Arabia, and this is Egypt on the banks of river Nile. And you see, look in the map, that blue and white Nile rivers, from where they are coming, from where they are arising, and how they are making the longest river of this world, the Nile river. So the Cairo city is there. This is called Kahira in Hindi. Cairo city is here, and Volgograd is here near the Volga river, which is draining itself into Caspian Sea. And Patna is located on the banks of Ganga. That is well known a fact. Next, how to achieve 24/7 power for all. We had set a target of 100% electrification, and that was ambitious, but we are very close to the victory here. But you see, the positive thing is that under this Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, which was actually filling the gaps in the previous schemes, and the 100% electrification target was being achieved by this Saubhagya Yojana, not Sahaj, it's a Saubhagya Yojana. I'm very sorry, Saubhagya. More than 45,000 households were electrified every day over the last 18 months. So it's a very ambitious and very much a huge deal. Means 45,000 connections per day. It's a great thing. And mobile vans and all were working. Why this became possible? The reason was the activeness and the pressure on these officials, and their dedication and their change in attitude this time, that made this huge goal possible. But you see, the background is very important here. This is not done in 1 or 2 or 3, 4 or 18 months. It is the hard work of decades. In 2003, the most important Electricity Act that came into force, and in 2005, the Gramin Vidyutikaran Yojana that came. So they made actually the basis and the infrastructure for these particular developments. So that's important. But this time, the positive thing is that the change in attitude that made this thing possible here. But apart from these achievements, some problems still remain. The erection of electricity, poles and extension of wires, they do not necessarily mean that uninterrupted power flow to these households and 24/7 power flow is available to these people. That is not the case. By tracking more than 9,000 rural households and since 2015 across 6 major states, the report came by Access and CEEW, these important surveys, and they told that around 4-hour average time of supply is increased. That is a good thing. From 2015 to 18, it has come up to 16 hours a day. That's an achievement in most of the cases. But you see, still 24/7 electricity is not available, and the cases are like the electricity which is coming maybe it is not a full phase electricity, and the issues of blackouts, they are important here. You see, if any kind of wire breaks or some kind of trouble is there, some people are trying to steal electricity there by clogging some wires and all. So these things are not the problem of infrastructure, these are the maintenance issues, and these are the attitude issues of villagers also. You see, sometimes they are trying to steal the electricity, and they are joining these wires and all. Sometimes some incident happen, then they are out of the supply because the wire is broken or some issues like that. After that, for 2, 3, 4 days, the supply is not again come to the normal, because the maintenance issue is a problem here. Real time monitoring is the thing that we need today. They are making electricity poles, infrastructure, everything available, but the maintenance factor, due to less number of employees and less number of grievance redressal issues, there are problems. And real time monitoring we need today, so that we can know what is the end user level and what are the real time issues, because it is not something like that you have installed these poles and you have given this electricity once and then you don't need to check it. This is the regular issue. Every day you see problems somewhere, some fuse is going on, these kind of things are there. So we need real time monitoring of these issues, so that we can achieve 24/7 power for all goal. And the biggest help can be the technology here. You see, it's a vicious cycle, because villagers, they do not want to pay for electricity. This is the historical convention in villages. They can adjust with this thing. Till now they could adjust, but now maybe they cannot adjust with low electricity levels and all, but they do not want to pay, because maximum number of people, they cannot pay for the electricity. It's a big burden on them. And you see, this becomes a vicious cycle, because they cannot pay, so they do not pay. When they do not pay, then the revenue does not rise. Then again the supply problems are there, and sometimes on mass level they need to cancel their electricity bills during the election time. This time it is happening in villages. So these kind of things are economic burdens on these power discoms also. So this remains a problem. Now that technology, like the solar panels, they are the biggest help. We saw that there is no dearth of sunlight in the villages. If we can install solar panels there, and these rooftop grid system or some other smart grid system, they can be a reality in a maximum number of villages, as these things are happening on a slow pace. If these things become a reality for every village, then there would be no problem of electricity, and there would be no problem of the hefty electricity bills. They can manage their own electricity, they can create it, and they can manage it, they even can sell it. So it becomes the biggest beneficial state. And you see, here it would not be economic burden on the states or on the power discoms, because in cities people are paying bills. Smart meters, SMS based reporting systems, all these are going robust with the cities. Okay, and people are bound to pay bills, otherwise they are out of the connections. So these things are very fast in cities and manageable also. But in rural areas, mainly in remote areas and all, where we have set a goal of a 24/7 electricity, but things are not possible because of these problems. So we need to install smart meters like solutions, and so that we can know the end user level and the monitoring can be perfect. And solar panels, they will solve the maximum amount of the problem here. So technology will help here. And you see that data says that 27% of the electrified rural households, they do not pay anything for their electricity. So this is all the matter of capacity. But you see, the criminal issue is also there. Maybe they are big land owners, and maybe some person is earning in their house, still they do not pay any kind of electricity bill. So these are problematic thing in some northern states of India and some southern states of India. But you see, overall if we see, then the number of these rich class landholders, these are very less. and maximum number of people, they are dealing with the agrarian crisis and they cannot pay these kind of bills and all. So they have adjusted their lives without electricity also, but these things cannot go like this in the future. So that is why these solutions are important here. Okay. So the writer now concludes it with two important suggestions, that smart metering and last mile rural franchises, these can be a good help here. And as I told you regarding the solar panels and the renewable energy aspect, these enterprises can help a lot. And electricity is the driver of every country's development, especially India's rural areas development. Without electricity, nothing can be possible. You see mobiles and all everyone is using, but the charging infrastructure is not there. And we are targeting the FAME scheme, where faster adoption for these manufacturing of electricity vehicles and all. That is the target, and these are the biggest help in the future for sustainable development. And we have our intended targets internationally. So these kind of schemes are the most important things, but they need electricity. They need electricity infrastructure. For that we need to take radical steps here. Otherwise things would not be possible in the future. Next article, you see this article talks about the formation and the working of the new Lokal body. Lokal is announced. Pinaki Chandra Ghosh is the new Lokal. But the problem remains that why now? Why so late? Why after 5 years you have appointed a Lokal here? How we can scrutinize the working of your 5 years government? Because this act came in end of 2013, and after that the provisions were due, and after that all these appointments were due, and now after 5 years and a lot of directions from the Supreme Court, the government has appointed Lokal here. You see 4 judicial members, 4 non-judicial members are there, and we need to see the merit of these people also, because you see the kind of work they are going to perform now, that is going to be historical. If they are going to do things honestly, then this task is going to be the historical one, because the history goes back to decades. In 1967 when UK adopted it, then it was some resistance there, and after that in 1969 when it came to our parliament, then they tried a lot, but these things were not possible because it could not be passed in Rajya Sabha every time. And in 2011 the Anhazare movement was there, and after that the huge demand was there. One government of Congress that had to go in 14 elections due to this case, and even after that they did not appoint for many years. Now the issue remains, what kind of working would be there in the future? So future of this body is very important. The working and the appointment, the writer says, is neither transparent nor fair. If we consider the logical points here, then things are problematic. First, some controversies were there, that some people said that we did not even apply for this job, how we could get selected. So the names were asked, that who are the people who applied for this post, but they did not give the names. And section 4(3) of the Lokpal and Lokayukta Act states that the selection committee may also consider any person other than the persons recommended by the search committee. Means anyone they can appoint here. That's problematic. Anyone means anyone they can bring any person, and what would be the merit, what would be the qualification needed, that will not matter. Any person that the selection committee may consider. So it is problematic. If any kind of difference of opinion is there in selecting, then consensus would be taken, and if not consensus, then the majority of the opinion that would decide the case of selection. So procedure we need to see here. First, it was started in 2018 as a process, and which was too late to scrutinize the before general election that person is appointed, and 8-member search committee in September 18 that was there, and this search committee was headed by Supreme Court Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai. she was heading the search committee. And for the post of Lokal chairperson and other members, so these people were to be decided here. And selection committee, this was the search committee, and selection committee was different. Search committee was about to recommend names, and selection committee was about to select these people. Selection committee headed by Prime Minister was there, and apart from that, Chief Justice of India or maybe his nominee. Remember here, nominee, this person is specific here, apart from the government's representatives. Prime Minister is there, and Sumitra Mahajan as a Speaker of the Lok Sabha, so she is also coming from the ruling party. And Mukul Rohtagi, the eminent jurist, and the special invitee who was Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge, who protested a lot about being called as a special invitee in this case, and he said that I'm very important person here, and I'm only one from the opposition here, but I am called here as a special invitee. So that was really problematic, and he refused to attend the meeting. So we can see that Prime Minister and Lok Sabha Speaker are from BJP. The eminent jurist was the Attorney General of India from 14 to 17. He was given as a name by government only at that time. Only the Chief Justice's nominee is not connected to the party. So the problematic thing is how there can be a majority of opinion that would be a balanced one. Only one person is not connected to the party in the team. Means all other people, they will be of the same opinion, and that would be the government's opinion here. So the people who are selected here, their selection can be problematic because there can be ideological similarities with the ruling party, and the working may also be pressurized by the government here. So this thing we need to see in the future. That is why I said that we need to see the merit, and we need to see the experience and the expertise of these people. 4 judicial members and 4 non-judicial members. Now the writer is concluding this particular article by saying that this need was historical. We took this particular thing as a constitutional phenomena from Sweden's ombudsman, and this was so important. It was targeting politicians, it was targeting bureaucrats. Now Prime Minister is also under it. Means the problem with India is it's a imbalanced growth. The rich people, they become richer and richer. Recently we saw that some people within 4 or 5 years, they have become so rich that their properties increased by 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So these things are really problematic for the country like India, where poor are more than 70-80% and rich class is having everything. So this is not possible without corruption. So this body's work that is targeted for this problem, that is the biggest problem in India, and without a solution of this problem, this country can never become a superpower. And all hypocrisies we would see in the election process, in the working of these institutions, and in the progress of India and the economic status also, and these statistics also. So that is the thing. Next information is regarding the particular satellites that we are going to launch, and it's going to be a streak of defense satellites starting from May, and it will go up to February 2020. ResoSat, Cartosat, ResoSat again, and GISat, that's a new series, and all these particular satellites are going to boost up the security issues, and they are going to support the forces and the military establishment of our country. So ISRO says that at least 8 Earth observation satellites are there, and they all are going to help us. And you see these satellites normally are put up on the low Earth orbit because they need to take pictures and all, and these are imaging satellites, and Cartosat as it is important for the map services. So that's the thing. So after this EMISAT, we have a streak of satellites now. So we need to see in future what kind of developments would be there. We are going really excellent in this case, and the space industry is really earning fortunes for India here. It's a real patriotic organization, we can say, and the only organization that is giving us positive vibes. Otherwise other states are not other stats are not good. Next information is very important for the prelims point of view and the essay point of view. You see, not only the growth is stunted, not only are poor kids they are short in their stature, and their bodies are wasted and stunted. This is not only the case, the brain development is also impacted here, and according to the scientists report, more than 90% development of the brain is in the starting 5 years of the life. So the issue of nutrition is a problematic thing in India. We have actually started many plans, nutritional plans, and food security, everything, but the condition of the poor, that remains really problematic, and now it is reaching up to their brain development. Poverty is not like the poverty of 60s or 70s, where people were dependent on the nature. Whatever they were eating, that was nutritious. But today, the poor is eating that is never nutritious, and that is just a waste. So it's a bigger problem now. This poverty is creating a havoc here. People cannot survive with this kind of poverty. Now people would die. Earlier people anyhow managed, although some cases of famine and all were there. Because of that, lakhs of people used to die, but the people could live in the poverty levels, and this kind of poverty is gonna devastate the futures of these poor populations. And you see, if brain development is halted, you can imagine what kind of future would be there for this generation. And the numbers are very high, they are in crores, these kids who are affected with this problem. You see, many of them are affected by conditions like diarrhea. Rotavirus is responsible for that, and unhygienic conditions, the issues of disease, and although some important developments we have done here, polio eradication is done, yaws eradication, and all these issues we have achieved, but the cases of stunted growth and low level of nutrition, low protein supplements, low fat content is there in their body. So these things are really problematic things. So a very important point, we cannot ignore it for the means. Next, FATF, a particular financial action task force body created by OECD countries, the ministers of its member jurisdictions, in 1989. And the two important points, terror financing and money laundering. First, it was there only for the money laundering issue. In 2001, it was extended to the more important area of terror financing, and it was found that money laundering is directly linked with the terror financing. So they came up with a series of recommendations, and these are the most important things here, and they were amended in 1996, 2001, 3 and 2012 to accommodate many definitions here. And you see, there are two lists, grey list and black list. In grey list, the countries which are there, like Pakistan which is there, they are given warnings that you enforce your domestic laws against terror financing and the money laundering. Otherwise, you may be put in the blacklist. And if any country is there in the blacklist, then it becomes very difficult for that country to take any kind of financial help, loans, grants, and they become very much problematic for that. So economic sanctions are already a problem, and the gone economy of Pakistan, everyone knows about it. And now if they are put in the blacklist, things would be very difficult for them. So because of India's pressure and India's image, and these big countries which are helping India in international, on an international platform everywhere, so it may be a situation that FATF is putting Pakistan on the blacklist here. So this is the news and the working of FATF and the conditions and the facts associated with it. These are going to be important in the prelims this time. And you see, apart from FATF, we saw UNSC has also brought a resolution against terror financing. So that is also important, and that was a draft by France, but that was by United Nations Security Council. And this particular terror financing issues are there with the FATF. So these are different bodies, different issues, but both are targeted towards terror financing. So that you remember. And that particular resolution that UNSC passed, that is also bolstering the moves of FATF. That was seen in the text here. 37 members are there for FATF. India is also a member here, and 2 observer countries are there. Associated countries are also there. The list is so huge, and the important collaborative organization and the observing organizations like these United Nations Development Group and all, these are already there. So that list is so huge, but less important. More important are these countries and the members. 37 members are there. These are the MCQs. Try their answers in the comment section and look for the additional data, additional informations, and rest of the matter. If something is left, we will take later in this week. And the information in these MCQs is very, very important. And again, I'm telling you, PIB MCQs are much more important. These are important, but these are much more important. And the explanation I'm giving in those lessons, that is extremely crucial for your prelims 2019 and maybe 2020 also. Okay, and this map question I'm giving here. Thanks a lot. PDF you will get on the Telegram channel, and this particular Facebook group is also there. You can send me a request. I would approve. Thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Saini.